Welcome to a new video here on the Giant Take YouTube channel. My name is Josh. If you can hit that subscribe button, that would be great. Give it a like on this video. And as you can tell by the title, I'm going to do the NFL power rankings in week 18. Now, normally, right, with these records, this would be it. And I would be calling it the end of the season power rankings. But instead, we have one more week to go. And I'm actually thinking that after this week of football, we'll find out the final playoffs and whoever's in and who's out. And, the Giants aren't in, and that's my team. So, if you are subscribed and you can tell from the name, the Giant Take podcast, that the Giants are my team. They're already out, but maybe they get a win, or maybe they lose and they even go down in these power rankings. But I want to probably do a update, like heading into the playoffs, updated NFL power rankings. But I ranked all 1 through 32 NFL teams, and I will go 1 through 32, ranking all of these teams. I have stuff on every single one of them, but I did want to have this video not go an hour or more, and hopefully you see that by how long this video is, that it is not that long, and it's pretty good timing-wise. So once I got to number 20, I'm kind of just going to run through it. I'll give you their teams, I'll give you their record, and call it a day. So let's start out with none other than the Green Bay Packers at the number 1 spot, 13-3. Aaron Rodgers is unstoppable. And between A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones, they're going to have a really good run game in these playoffs. And their run game's elite. And Devontae Adams is also amazing. So, you got to give credit to them. That's where they are at number 1. I'm going to try to look at the camera as much as I can, although I think I will be editing this video, so there should be photos in between here and there. If not, then, but I'm still going to try and look for when it's on me. I'm going to try and look at the camera. I'm trying my best here. Second spot, coming in at 12-14 on the season, that's the Los Angeles Rams. They beat the Ravens, which is one of the best teams in the NFL in football, honestly. Not this season. They haven't been too good. So, but good for the Rams though. Anyway, they come in to this week looking pretty good playoff wise. They're in. I think they won the division already. Stafford is second in passing yards and TDs in the NFL. Sony Michel is a pretty good running back. Their wide receiving core is unbelievable. You have Cooper Kupp coming in at number 1. I have some stats on him in a little bit where he leads in the NFL. And then you have Van Jefferson, but I would say Odell Beckham over Van Jefferson. And since Odell Beckham has come over from the Cleveland Browns, it's been a smooth transition. It took a little while, but he's here and he's here to stay, and he'll help them, I'm sure, in the playoffs and could very well help them get to a Super Bowl. But Cooper Kupp is absolutely insane. His stats are crazy. He leads the league in receptions, receiving yards, and TDs. So that's the main 3 categories for a wide receiver. He leads in all of them, and is obviously, due to those stats, the best wide receiver in the NFL this season. And that's not a surprise by any means from his stats. Aaron Donald, you got to remember that he's on defense, a really good, player. Hasn't been as good as I would say previous seasons, but that shouldn't discredit anything you've seen on the field. That guy is still a beast, and he's amazing. I move on to number 3, and that is going to be Tom Brady's, or Bruce Arians, whatever you want to call it, Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 12-4. Honestly, they could have been 1 or 2. They could have been even lower than 3 or higher than 3, I want to say, depending on the way you look at it. Like maybe they could have been 4 or 5. After this week, first of all, they were down to the Jets. Tom Brady helped illustrate a comeback against them. They have no Chris Godwin. They now lost AB. His whole case is crazy. You looked at AB running off the field and you're like, that guy's insane. Then he shows up to the Nets game the following night, and you're like, okay, he's not on the plane. Bruce Arians said that he's done. And now Antonio Brown, of course, is exposing everyone he can, whether it's like Tom Brady's trainer or Bruce Arians himself. So now we don't know who's right and who's wrong in this situation. It looks like Bruce Arians had him play during injury. I don't want to point any fingers, but I just want to say for the Buccaneers' sake, I still have them at 3 in the power rankings because they are 12-4, and they still did beat the Jets, even though they were trailing to them basically the whole game. They're now without Chris Godwin. They're without Antonio Brown. But Brady leads the league in passing yards and TDs, and it seems like he can do anything. And they are coming off the Super Bowl. So, we'll have to wait and see. They do have no great running backs either. Ronald Jones is a good running back, and then it's Keyshawn Vaughn behind him, I want to say. but Mike Evans and Gronk can still get it done. Number 4, Kansas City Chiefs, 11-5. They did lose to the Bengals on a game-winning field goal this past week, but honestly, it came after a few gutsy decisions by the head coach of the Cincinnati Bengals, and I forget the guy's name for some reason. Not good on my part, but we continue. I gotta get the Bengals coach now because that's gonna be on my mind for the rest of this video. Zach Taylor, thank you. Okay, thank you, Google. But they did lose on a few gutsy calls from the Bengals to go for it and go for the win, and they eventually did do so. Anyway, Mahomes is dominant. He's back to his dominant form. I remember earlier in the season we were like, oh my God, what is going on with the Chiefs? Are they done? Is it over? They're 11-5 right now, and they're going to make the playoffs. So good for the Chiefs. They're here at number 4 in the power rankings. Darrell Williams is a really good running back, and Hardman, McCole Hardman, and Tyreek Hill, probably you would say Tyreek Hill over Hardman if you're ranking the two of them. They're just too fast for defenders, and they share the ball well between all the receivers and the running backs that they have in their squad. Their offense is just very good. And that's all. I mean, credit to Eric Bieniemy, Andy Reid. We already know how good this coaching staff is from how good they've been the past few years. Coming in at number 5 is the team that beat the Kansas City Chiefs, this 10-6 Cincinnati Bengals. Joe Burrow's a really good quarterback. I mean, we knew that coming out of the draft out of LSU. Jamar Chase went crazy last week, like Randy Moss type numbers, crazy. 11 catches for 266 yards, and 3 touchdowns for Jamar Chase. Joe Mixon coming in. Also is having a really good season, probably great season to say the least. Second in rushing yards, and you know who's first, and we'll get to him in a little bit, Jonathan Taylor. But number 6, Buffalo Bills coming in at 10-6 to this week 18. Josh Allen dominated this season in the NFL, and he has been for the last 2, I would say, mainly. He's paired with Stephon Diggs. We know how good they are. Devin Singletary, I was forgetting his first name, against the Falcons this past week, had 23 carries for 110 yards as well as 2 touchdowns. So good from him. They also have Zach Moss on that team, and they're one of the best defensive teams in the league. Just to read a few guys, I mean, Edmonds, Milano, Hyde, Russo, and Oliver. Ed Oliver, Gregory Russo, 2 young guys on the defensive side of the ball that have been really good for the Buffalo Bills this season. On to number 7, the best defensive team in football, honestly, and that's unfortunate because I'm a Giants fan. That's the NFC East rivals, Dallas Cowboys, at 11-5. They locked up the NFC East already. Dak is the man. I know Cowboys fans in the NFL are like, can he recover from the injury? Well, right now it's looking like he's a really good wide receiver. We have Zeke in the backfield. He wasn't so good last week, but they're still a really good team, and they got it done. Whoever they really play in the NFC East, they'll do well against. They lost to the Cardinals last week, right? So they either lost to the Cardinals or they beat the Cardinals. Let's see here. They lost to the Cardinals by 3. Okay. So one of the best wide receiving cores in the NFL as well. CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper, Mike Gallup, and Wilson's first name. I don't know, Cedric Wilson. There we go, Junior. I'm losing these things. But one of the best wide receiving corps in the NFL for the Dallas Cowboys. The best defense in the NFL. Leighton Vander Esch, Micah Parsons, Trayvon Diggs, to name a few. Parsons has 13 sacks on the season. Trayvon Diggs leads the league in interceptions with 11. And then coming into the next spot, the team that beat them by 3, the Arizona Cardinals at 11-5. Kyler Murray passing and rushing, just such a good wide receiver. And that's really it that I have noted on them. Coming in at number 9, the New England Patriots at 10-6. Mac Jones is looking really good. We were questioning maybe, can he replace Brady? Can he be the guy to do it right after Cam Newton last season? Yes, he can. Bill Belichick fit him in perfectly well. And it feels like every week, either Damian Harris or Ramondre Stevenson has 100 rushing yards in a game. So I want to give credit to both of them. Damian Harris is second in the NFL with 14 rushing touchdowns. And the New England Patriots do also spread the ball to their receivers, including like Hunter Henry, Kendrick Bourne, Jacoby Myers. They're able to give the ball to a lot of their receivers, and we know how good their tight ends are. Although we haven't really seen it like crazy. Hunter Henry's had a pretty good season, but they also have Jonnu Smith that came from the Titans, who they signed in the offseason. I mean, he's been okay. They haven't involved him that much, maybe because he's been injured. I don't know for sure. Top 3 defense in the NFL for the Patriots. J.C. Jackson is second in the league with 8 interceptions this season. Juwan Bentley the linebacker, and Kyle Duggar, the safety, are tied for leading the team with 92 tackles. So they're a good team defensively. Coming in at number 10, the Tennessee Titans at 11-5. Tannehill, he's all right at quarterback. He's still like not that guy. He doesn't have Derrick Henry behind him, but Deonta Foreman against the Dolphins last week had 26 carries for 132 yards and 1 TD. And I know they have McNichols, right? So, I mean, it's okay at the running back position. And then A.J. Brown, obviously their number one wide receiver. I just don't know how far that team can go into the playoffs without Derrick Henry. And we know how dominant he can be in the regular season and in the playoffs. Coming in at number 11, the Indianapolis Colts. They are 9-7. Can Carson Wentz be the guy? This is another quarterback situation. Can he be the person to step up and really do damage against other teams? And I just don't know come playoff time if he can do that. And I don't know how the Colts are looking heading into the playoffs at 9-7. I assume they can make it if they win this week. I don't know for sure the implications there, but I just don't know if Wentz can be the guy, but I do know who is the guy, and that is Jonathan Taylor. I mentioned him earlier. He leads the league in rushing yards, rushing touchdowns, attempts, 20-plus yard rushes, and 40-plus yard rushes. He has 1,734 rushing yards in the season and 18 touchdowns, carries this Colts offense. And it's crazy because coming in at second with rushing yards is Joe Mixon. And Jonathan Taylor has 529 more rushing yards than Joe Mixon. Also, they have Michael Pittman and T.Y. Hilton. Pittman has over 1,000 receiving yards on the season. Darius Leonard's a beast. He leads the league with 8 forced fumbles. He also has 4 interceptions. They lost to the Raiders last week, which is why they got knocked down here to number 11 on my power rankings, but that's why they are still number 11. They're a really good team. San Francisco 49ers also 9-7. Is it Trey Lance? Is it Jimmy G? They have a question there. Elijah Mitchell, 878 rushing yards this season. Deebo Samuel is a great wide receiver. He's also got George Kittle and Ayuk on his side. A good team in the 49ers. Coming now to these next 2 teams back to back. They're going to be fighting for it Sunday night. Win, get in. Los Angeles Chargers 9-7. Herbert, deep ball passer, 3rd in the league when it comes to passing yards. They have Austin Eckler. They have Mike Williams and Keenan Allen. The winner takes all on Sunday. That leads me to the Raiders at 14. Carr had 2 interceptions against the Colts last week. Jacobs, though, has been dominant. And also Zay Jones and Hunter Renfrow have stepped up since the Henry Ruggs situation. And that leads me to the point of the Raiders, even though, I mean, they're 9-7, which is they have fought through adversity this season. They have fought through some things that have happened personally within this organization that is, that should have brought them to be a really bad team. And they've just persevered. So give credit to the Raiders where it's due. The Henry Ruggs situation, I already mentioned that. John Gruden and his role as the coach, and the unfortunate passing, what was it now, a few weeks ago now, of John Madden, the coach and broadcaster. Rest in peace to John Madden. But I know that hit their team hard, their organization. So, they've been dealing with stuff and being able to persevere. And then I also want to lead that into, we talked about this game, Raiders versus Chargers, on the Giant Take podcast, our preview to the Giants versus Washington game happening on Sunday. We also talked about a bunch of other stuff in the Giants organization and things of that nature, New York Giants news. So go check it out on Apple Podcast, Spotify, all of those platforms. Subscribe there to Giant Take podcast. And then our recap episode should be out on Sunday or sometime around then. The Philadelphia Eagles coming at 15 at 9-7. I guess the Eagles are a playoff team. That's what I have written down here. I mean, I guess they're good. The Giants, of course, no, but the Eagles will make the playoffs. That's how it works. Hurts is sort of the guy. There's a lot of question marks, but they're there, right? Hurts running the ball. Yeah, I'll give Hurts 1,000% credit, but passing, he's still not that great of a quarterback. Boston Scott with 2 touchdowns last week against Washington. They've got Dallas Goedert and Devontae Smith as their top guys when it comes to receiving. Coming in at 16, the New Orleans Saints at 8-8, one of the best defenses in the NFL. They've just been unlucky since the Jameis Winston injury. Taysom Hill hasn't been all that. They also had, what's his name, the backup quarterback, I want to say, for the Saints. Saints QBs. Once I got a little come back, Trevor Siemian has played. And then Ian Book even came in and played the draft pick in 2020, I want to say. So it's just been unfortunate for the Saints. Because of injuries. Alvin Kamara has been doing his thing this season too when he's been healthy. 17, the Baltimore Ravens at 8-8. Lamar Jackson has had a good season, but because of his injury, they've been so close though. They've been so close, the Ravens have, even when Lamar Jackson is out. And you know why? Is because of Tyler Huntley. Tyler Huntley has kept them in games. He's been pretty good, I want to say, as a quarterback. And then you also have Mark Andrews. You also have Brown on that team, Marquise Brown. But they're at 17 on my power rankings. 18, Pittsburgh Steelers, 8-7-1. Big Ben, his last game at home. Good for him to get the win there. Najee Harris had 28 carries for 188 yards and a touchdown. Fourth in league with rushing yards, and TJ Watt leads the league with 21.5 sacks. That guy always seems to get to the quarterback when he wants to. And then at 19, the Cleveland Browns, 7-9. Baker Mayfield is out there. I mean, I don't know. There's been rumors now. Maybe he goes to the Giants. Maybe he goes to another team that needs a quarterback. That's interesting. They obviously lost Odell Beckham Jr. And then Nick Chubb's been dominant this season. He's got Kareem Hunt there as backup. So they have nothing there. Nothing wrong with the running back position, although I think Chubb's contract is up, so they got to pay him a boatload. He deserves it. So now 20 through 32, I don't really have anything on these teams. I'm just trying to run through it real quick to run through it, I guess. Coming in at 20, the Miami Dolphins at 8-8. 21, the Minnesota Vikings at 7-9. 22, the Denver Broncos at 7-9. 23, the Atlanta Falcons at 7-9. 24, the Seattle Seahawks at 6-10. 25, the Chicago Bears at 6-10, beat the Giants last week. Washington football team lost to the Eagles last week, right? I think they're 6-10. 27, the Houston Texans at 4-12. 28, the Carolina Panthers at 5-11. 29, the New York Jets at 4-12, and this might be debated, but I don't care. Detroit Lions at 30, 2-13-1. The Detroit Lions, to me, look like they have a better future than the New York Giants at this point. The Giants got a lot to do, and at least they have a team that fights. They have a team that fights. They won 2 games when they weren't supposed to against better opponents, and the Giants just haven't done that. They got their 4 wins earlier in the season, and since that point, it's just been bad, and I feel like they haven't been trying as hard as these Lions. And the Lions that look like they have a coach, whether he's staying or not, that looks like he loves to be there and is. I mean, he cries for his team. He's angry with his team. Like, I feel like he's together. Joe Judge, I just don't see that. 31, the New York Giants at 4-12, and 32, obviously, the Jacksonville Jaguars at 2-14. After running through that, gotta take a sip of water. But I thank you so much for watching this video of the NFL Power Rankings again. I hope to have a video next week, kind of updating this list with all the teams we know that are going to be in the playoffs. So look forward to that. Also, a bunch of other stuff. Like I said, subscribe here, drop a like, listen to our podcast on all podcast platforms, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. You can look up shipitstudios.com/a giant take. That's all of our links to listen and watch to the podcast. We have a bunch of content coming your way. We're going to have the If We Were the GM, the GM of the New York Giants video, where we're going to talk about coaching candidates. That's going to be a part series. So we're going to have a part talking about the coaches that we would look to hire, if not staying with Joe Judge, the GMs. Maybe we're going to have a GM video because it looks like Dave Gettleman's going to retire on Sunday. We're going to talk about maybe GMs that the Giants can look for if this Dave Gettleman somewhat rumor. I mean, I feel like we've known it for weeks now, if not months, that Gettleman is gone. But we'll talk about that at another point. We're doing our draft preparations. I've gone through the top 3 quarterbacks, and Alex has done a bunch of stuff, my co-host, on other players. So we're getting ready for the draft in January, which is crazy to say. I mean, that's how bad this team is, the New York Giants. Even though the draft's in April, we're getting ready in January, but we're preparing. You can go follow us for all of our updates with everything. I'm on Twitter at JoshHolt29. The Giant Take Podcast is on Twitter at the Giant Take Pod. The Giant Take Pod is also the username for Instagram, the Giant Take Podcast, at the Facebook, the Giant Take Pod, and TikTok, also the Giant Take Pod. So you can follow all of us on there. And then I think that's everything, but just stay tuned for a bunch of other content. I hope you enjoyed the video. Comment what you thought about it. Comment your whatever, let me know if you stayed. Comment a thumbs up if you stayed till the end of the video. How about that? I know some YouTubers do that, but just let me know what you thought of the power rankings if you want me to do it again next week. And again, thank you so much for watching. And I will see you next time, or we will see you next time for whenever the next Giant Take podcast YouTube video is. Peace.